Well, the Premier League is underway. We've had almost every single team play. As you're watching this and as I'm recording this, there is still one more game to play. We've got Everton and Leeds playing against each other. Why is the follow button flashing at me? This is a great moment for me to say, follow the channel, subscribe. I don't know what's going on here. Look at that. That's crazy. Anyway, we're going to go through every single match week one game and talk about my thoughts on how each team have performed. That is really annoying me. That is distracting me. Wait, let me refresh and see what happens. Oh my God, there's clearly a problem on the website. But the reason I'm doing this, guys, is because I would like to talk about more than just Arsenal this season. I would like to do some more Premier League, Champions League, things like that, football content. So we're going to start today. And then after this video, obviously we're missing out Leeds and Everton, but I won't be able to record this tomorrow. So we're doing it today. I would then like to make a prediction. I never ever do Premier League table predictions. So I will do one this season. I'm going to go ahead and put my 20 in order, having not seen Leeds and Everton. But anyway, let's get into the first game of the Premier League season. Obviously, Liverpool at home to Bournemouth. What a result for them, considering they were 2-0 up and then it was 2-2. And then at the end, they managed to get the win. And it was an unbelievable game. I really enjoyed it. I'd actually say it was probably the best game of the weekend that I watched. And I watched pretty much every game. I first of all, I just want to say it was very touching. Obviously, the Liverpool game, especially being the opening game of the season, but all of the Jota stuff. And of course, his brother, they both passed away a couple of months ago now, and it's obviously massively sad. And you can see all the Liverpool players and every team that did that minute silence this weekend. You can see it really affected them. It's a devastating blow. Rest in peace to Jota and his brother, of course, as well. It was really nice to see everyone honour them, and especially at Anfield, where Jota played for what is it, 4 seasons, 5 seasons. But yeah, Liverpool really did get the job done. We can have a look at the lineups here. I want to talk about Semenyo as well, because of course we had the racist wheelchair player, the guy in the wheelchair that was allegedly racist to Semenyo. Boy, did he shut him up though. He was wheeled out at halftime, and Semenyo did a big old shh, didn't he? That was an incredible performance from him. Unlucky not to have at least got some points for the team there, but I think realistically, Liverpool deserved to win the game. Ekatike looks like he's going to be a very, very good player. He's so lanky. He reminds me of Havertz in the way, just the way his limbs flop around while he's running, but he looked really, really good. A killer in front of goal, composed. We'll see how he gets on over the rest of the season. Of course, this was a home game, first game of the season. Adrenaline's pumping, and he had a point to prove. Obviously, we'll give him some more time to see if he really settles in. I mean, imagine this is the only goal and assist he gets all season. It's very unlikely, but you never know. But I was impressed with him, and Wirtz not so much, but he will be a fantastic player for Liverpool. Gakpo was great. Salah had a quiet game, but obviously got his opening game week one goal that he always gets every season. Defensively, though, I thought Liverpool looked a little bit shaky. I think Frimpong and Kirkes, whilst they're really good fullbacks or wing backs, I guess, they're much better attacking than defending, I think. Van Dijk looked a little bit suspect. Konate didn't particularly perform well. So it was definitely Liverpool back in the Suarez era, if you ask me. Just so good up front, not so good at the back. But they will just outscore you. Bournemouth, I thought they did a really good job. One of the hardest games, if not the hardest game of the season, is done for them. And they managed to almost get something. They almost brought a point home. I wish they could have held on. Of course, I'm an Arsenal fan. I don't want Liverpool to be doing well this season, but yeah, Semenyo, good on him. I really was impressed with Scott. I thought Scott, that's harsh. When he came off, I thought they looked much worse. He was really good. And we must say, Bournemouth, having lost 4, 5 of their best players in defence, it's unbelievable. It's a completely new defensive lineup for them. Hopefully they can bring some more players in. But Liverpool, definitely the deserved winners of that opening game. We then move over to, look at that follow button still. Again, Nil-nil, Aston Villa, unfortunately, with the red card for Konza as well. I put him in my FPL team that day and, of course, gets a red. But they were fortunate to come away with a point considering they played, a large portion of that second half with 10 men and they realistically created nothing. Newcastle were the better side, and you can clearly see that by the stats there. But it wasn't a particularly good game, was it? Yeah, Elanga looks like a good signing for Newcastle. I don't know if he's going to end up staying out on that right wing or if he could play left wing, being right-footed, of course. Their midfield three is always going to be very, very strong, physical with Bruno Guimaraes, Joelinton, and Tonali. Defensively, they looked pretty good. No Ramsdale in goal. As an Arsenal fan, I really want Ramsdale to do well, but I don't want Newcastle to do well. So a little bit of a tricky one. But of course, it was all overshadowed again by the Isaac situation. Who knows what's going to happen there? Quickly on Villa, I didn't think they looked particularly good, to be honest. Konza with the red obviously didn't help in the second half, but realistically, they didn't look great. They really didn't look that great. I thought Watkins was very quiet. Onana was pretty decent with Kamara in midfield, but Newcastle could have and probably should have picked up the win there. Over to Brighton against Fulham. This is one of the games I didn't watch live, but I've obviously seen the highlights. Devastating for Brighton to concede so late. But I think they're going to have another good season. Seeing the momentum of the game here, it's quite clear that they were the better team in the first half. And then maybe it was a little bit more even in the second. Did Fulham deserve that late goal? Obviously, I didn't see the entire game, so it's hard to say. But I anticipate Brighton having a very similar season to last year, where they might go through some periods where they struggle a little bit, but I think overall they're going to be very solid. They've clearly managed to hold on to Baleba. There were rumours that he could be going to United. That's not going to happen now. They've brought in De Kuyper. I think he looked pretty good down that left side. Mitoma needs another good season. Wasn't particularly great last year, but O'Reilly was, for me, the really impressive player for Brighton. And looking at Fulham, there's a lot of good players in there individually. Are they going to play as a good unit? Are they going to have another solid season where they're just, average mid-table, pushing for maybe a top 10 finish? I think they will be. I very much doubt they're going to struggle and be brought into a relegation battle. I don't think that's going to happen. But I was relatively impressed having watched the highlights at how Brighton were playing. And that's, of course, without João Pedro. Is Rutter going to be their starting striker now? I guess so. Now, this was a fantastic game. I think in terms of enjoyment, I guess this game was my favourite, but I think I'm a bit of a Sunderland. What's the word? What's the word when they're kind of like your second team? I have a little bit of a soft spot for Sunderland. As you guys know, I went to Wembley with my good friend Andy, who's a Sunderland fan, and I watched them get promoted. And that promotional game was just, it was an incredible memory that I'll have forever. And I really want Sunderland to do well this season. And despite the fact that for large portions of the game, they weren't actually dominating or the better side per se, but they were so much better in front of goal and they made their chances count. And I thought West Ham were terrible. They had possession, but they did absolutely nothing with it. And that is the problem. You can have all the possession you want, 63% in the end here, and they did absolutely nothing with it. Bowen looked good. I thought Bowen was the only player realistically that was causing any danger. Every time he got the ball in the box, I thought he was going to do something. Fulkrug, oh my God, he was shocking. He lost every duel. I'm pretty sure he actually, there might be a stat here. Yeah, look at this. Lost the most duels. 60? He lost 16. Oh my God. That is shocking. And he will go down as one of the flop signings over the last few years in the Premier League because he was doing really well at Dortmund. But West Ham have not been very good in the market over the years. Not sure about the way they played, if I'm honest. They kept the ball nicely in midfield, but they just didn't have any bite going forward. But all credit goes to Sunderland. You'll see in my predictions, I expect him to stay up this season. And by the way, they've since added Mukiele, right back, centre back, whatever. He's a new signing that's just come in, and apparently they're looking to bring in another centre back, Lusumi. I can't remember how to pronounce his name. So they're still spending. I think that would be 13 signings. Absolutely unreal. It's a completely new team. A Dingra down the left, Mayenda through the middle, who was obviously there last season. He's done really well. Taubi on the right, Sadiki, Xhaka, and Diarra. Wow, the midfield three there, because you've got Xhaka, he's like the brains, the captain, the experience, and then you've got Sadiki and Diarra. They're the legs, they're the engine room. Ballard in defence was fantastic, and in a way, great to see him do well, but kind of sad as well because he obviously was an Arsenal academy player. But yeah, Sunderland to stay up, I think. Moving on to Tottenham. Still, make sure you subscribe, guys. Look, it's telling you, follow the channel, subscribe. I didn't watch this game live, but I have seen the highlights. Richarlison, wow. Reminded me of the goal he scored for Brazil in the World Cup many years ago. And we all thought, oh, yeah, he's going to be a good player. He's going to be a really good player. Obviously, it hasn't quite worked out. Now, obviously, I'm an Arsenal fan and I don't want to see Tottenham doing well, but I was impressed. But we do need to remember this is Burnley. I think Burnley are going to be the weakest team in the Premier League this season. Let's have a look at the lineup. They're playing a five at the back. Walker, of course, a new signing. He's been playing kind of like right centre back, I presume. Hartman at left back was a new signing as well. But looking at that team, nah, I don't see it. I don't think Burnley will survive. But Tottenham looks sharp. Kudus looks like a great signing. And Richarlison, if he keeps it up, he might keep Solanke out of the team. Who would have thought? But they've got a great mix of some older, experienced players and obviously some great young players coming through. Hopefully, Andre Gray can. It is Andre Gray, right? Oh my Am I thinking of? Didn't he play for Watford? Andre Gray, Archie Gray. Sorry. Hopefully, he doesn't have to play at centre back because the poor guy had to do that last year a lot, and he's so much better in midfield. Bergval, great player. I love Van der Ven as well. I think Spurs will be a bit of a dark horse this season. There's no way they're going to finish 17th this year. Not with Thomas Frank. They just look so much better already. Moving on to the Wolves Man City game. I enjoyed watching this game because Man City was so good, but I also hated it because I want City to struggle this year. I mean, they had a couple of months of struggle last season, but they still finished pretty strong and they've started strong. Haaland with a double. Reinders for what, 35 million euros or whatever. Oh my God, that is an absolute bargain. Cherky as well, who for me is better than Foden and should be starting ahead of Foden for sure. They were the much better side. It's funny though, because I remember there was a couple of occasions where Wolves actually looked pretty good going forward, and I thought maybe they could sneak a goal. A couple of moments in the second half, but no, the quality of Man City really came through. We can look at the lineup here. I think potentially Wolves might be in the relegation scrap this season, but I think it's unfair to judge them in the first game against Man City. You're looking at a £1 billion squad. Yeah, we'll see how they get on. My granddad's a Wolves supporter. I'll be right there supporting them with him. I want Wolves to do well. I think Strand Larson will be great this season. I think Gomez and Andre in midfield, really good. And the back three system suits them. They signed an actual Wolf for Wolves. But just unbelievable from Man City. They probably had the best performance of the weekend. Well, Sunderland. The thing is, that was against West Ham, and I guess you could say City was against Wolves, but just they were absolutely fantastic, so clinical. And by the way, Oscar Bob, wow, really impressive. Chelsea and Palace, I watched this one. Chelsea dominated, but I thought Palace did way better than people think. This looks very harsh on Palace. You know, the expected goals, total shots doesn't really look right there, does it? But they were really impressive at times. And in my opinion, the goal they scored, that free kick from Eze should have stood. It's an absolute travesty that it didn't. I hate VAR with a burning passion. It's just it's ruining the sport. It really is. And I know people will disagree with me, and that's totally fine. I've watched football before VAR and with VAR, and I can easily make my mind up myself that VAR is not improving the game for me. It's actually making it worse. Um, Palace will go on to have a good season. I'm sure of it. The question is, will Eze be a part of that? Hoping they hold on to Wharton for sure. I thought him and Hughes were brilliant in midfield. Again, sometimes you just got to ignore match ratings. They were so good. I thought Hughes was brilliant until he came off. I know he got the yellow and needed to. They need to hold on to Guehi as well, of course. So if they can do that, Eze could be going to Tottenham, could be going to Arsenal. We don't know. I think they'll be fine. And obviously, they've got the Conference League to look forward to. It should have been the Europa League, in my opinion, but they can probably win the Conference League. Chelsea looked pretty good, but nothing special. They looked solid defensively. I didn't think they looked in any real danger, and that's without Colwill. I know they probably will sign another centre back. Palmer didn't have a particularly great game. I didn't think Gittins looked great either. João Pedro wasn't superb. So we'll see with Chelsea, but a nil-nil draw potentially could have lost 1-0 if VAR didn't rule that goal out. Stupid. Um, yeah, it just wasn't a fantastic game, was it? Didn't see this one live, but have seen the highlights. I'm really worried about Brentford. We'll talk about them more in my predictions video. But Forest absolutely mullered them in the first half. Lovely bit of Brentford possession and play here, but it was only enough to get one goal. Was it a penalty? Yeah, it was a penalty, wasn't it? Yeah, so wait, have I seen the full highlights? I think I might have just seen clips on X, actually. On Twitter, sorry. I think people were a little bit worried about Nottingham Forest. I was too, because second season syndrome, when you have such a great, successful season when maybe you weren't expected to, expectations and standards are higher. Fans start to think, oh, we'll do fine. And then you kind of just slip a little bit and things can pile on, a bit of pressure. But no, they really did well. And I thought losing Elanga would be a problem, but Ndoye clearly has come in and done a good job down that right side. And Chris Wood started the season strong. He didn't have a great end to the season last year, but he was otherwise brilliant. So hopefully he can recapture that form. Brentford, however, losing Norgard and Burmo, Thomas Frank, their manager, and loads of staff have gone. I believe Keith Andrews, their current manager, was just a set piece coach. How he's got the full-time job, I'm not quite sure. Clearly, the club just really liked him and believe in him, but he's my bet on first manager to go. Actually, it might be Potter. Yeah, we'll see. I thought Brentford looked. It's going to be a really tough season for them. I don't need to talk about the United Arsenal game too much. If you want to watch my review, you can watch Operation Arsenal from last night. But generally speaking, I thought Manchester United were really good and deserved to win the game in the end. And Arsenal really fought and battled for that win. And it's going to go down as a huge, huge result for Arsenal. Massive result, because Old Trafford's done and we got the 3 points. But ultimately, I think my takeaway is that United will, just like Tottenham, do a lot better this season. And you'll see my prediction for the table in the next video. And then lastly, of course, we've got Leeds against Everton kicking off in about 6 hours' time as I'm recording this. I'm actually really keen to watch both these teams. Leeds coming up from the Championship, haven't spent a crazy amount of money compared to someone like Sunderland. And I guess what I'm trying to get at here is, have they brought in enough quality? There's no way they can expect to be safe with what they had last season going into this new season. They definitely need to invest. And I know they've brought in a couple of players, but it's going to be a difficult season for them. And as I'll say in tomorrow's video, I'll probably go over it a little bit more, but I don't think it's a case of the newly promoted sides being good enough to stay. I think it's actually more of a case of other teams being bad enough to slip into the relegation zone. Teams like Brentford and Wolves, and are they going to slip down so the promoted sides don't have to be elite, much better to stay up? We'll see. Really intrigued to see how Everton do this season. I think they might be a little bit of a dark horse in terms of finishing a lot higher than people expected. I think David Moyes is a proven good manager. They've signed a couple of great players in there. I love Dewsbury Hall. Beto up front could have a good season. We will see. So after the first week, obviously, without the Leeds Everton game again, this is how the table is looking. Man City and Sunderland at the top, Tottenham up there as well. Of course, it's just one game, so a lot of these teams just have 3 points. It's just the goal difference that's separating us. Down in 15th, you've got Manchester United after their loss to Arsenal. Bournemouth, I think they're going to be fine. I'm not too worried about them. But Brentford, Burnley, West Ham, Wolves, all in the bottom four already. Ouch. Really, really intrigued to see how the Leeds Everton game goes tonight. Thank you for watching this video, guys, and I will see you for my table prediction. I'm going to try and get as good as I can get, as close as I can get, and predict the top 20.